Have you ever had one of those moments you're completely devastated by something, but your friend, who's in the exact same boat, just shrugs it off? It really makes you wonder, right? Is controlling our emotions even possible? Well, we're going to dive into the psychology behind our feelings and see what's really going on under the hood. All right, so to really get to the bottom of this, let's start with a scenario that I think pretty much all of us can relate to. It all revolves around a super high stakes exam. Okay, so picture this. You and a good friend have to ace this one important exam. Like your entire summer depends on it. No pressure, right? And you've both put in the work. I mean, you've studied all week long. So when you walk into that test, you're both feeling pretty good about it. You're confident. You think, yeah, we got this. But then the grades come back, and it's a shock. They're way, way lower than what you expected. Just a total gut punch. And this is where it gets interesting. Your reaction? You're devastated, totally crushed. But you look over at your friend and they just seem unbothered. They're already shrugging it off, ready to move on. And you're just sitting there thinking, why can't I do that? Why can't I just shake it off like them? So, this really brings us to the heart of the matter. Why do two people react so differently to the exact same thing? And maybe the bigger question is, can we even control our emotions at all? Is it even possible? Well, it turns out there's a framework that can help us understand exactly what's going on here. It's a tool psychologists use, and it basically breaks down the whole step-by-step process of how our feelings come to be. So let's just answer that big question right off the bat. Can you regulate your emotions? The answer is a definitive yes. You absolutely can. And the key to doing it is this framework called the process model. The best way to think about it is like a roadmap for your feelings. It shows you the entire journey an emotion takes, and this is the important part, it shows you the exact spots along the way where you can step in and change its course. So, how does it actually work? Well, this model breaks everything down into four really clear, actionable steps. This is basically the birth of an emotion from start to finish. Okay, here are the four steps. First, you have the situation itself. Something happens, real or imagined. Second, your attention gets drawn to it. You focus on it. Third, and this one is key, is the appraisal. This is just you evaluating the situation, deciding what it means to you and your goals. And finally, number four is the response. That's the emotion you feel. The really cool thing is that each one of these steps is an opportunity, a place where you can intervene. All right, to really see this in action, let's switch gears from the exam to something a little more emotionally charged. Imagine this. You get invited to a party. Sounds fun, right? But then you find out your ex is going to be there, and they're bringing their new partner. Oof. Okay, this brings us to what might be the most powerful step in the whole model. Step 3, the appraisal. This is all about changing how you think about what's happening. I mean, sure, you could just avoid the party altogether, right? That's one option. But what if, instead, you reappraise it? You take a step back and you think, you know what? I'm actually over it. I don't really care who my ex dates. Just that one simple shift in your thinking, it can change your entire emotional experience. Now, let's say you get all the way to the end and you're still feeling it. You can manage your final response, but you gotta be careful here. The easy route, hiding your feelings, trying to numb them, that stuff usually just makes things worse in the long run. The smarter, more sustainable strategies are things like going for a long walk, doing some deep breathing, or just calling up a friend and talking it through. Okay, so we have these tools, right? Does that mean the goal is to use them to stay in a good mood 24/7? To just be happy all the time? Well, this is where things get really, really interesting because the actual goal, it's probably not what you think. So let's just ask the question straight up. Should you be using these techniques to try and engineer a state of constant happiness? To just force yourself to look on the bright side no matter what? And the answer, according to psychologists, is a resounding no. And the reason why is actually pretty profound. It's this. No emotion is inherently good or bad. They just are. The only thing that matters is the context. The real question isn't, is this a good or bad feeling, but is this feeling helpful or unhelpful right now? Take a look at this. Let's say a friend is telling you about a loss they've experienced. In that situation, sadness is the helpful emotion, right? It lets you connect with them. Trying to force some cheerfulness would be, awful and totally unhelpful. But flip that. Say you have to get through some boring, annoying task. Stewing in frustration isn't going to help. But believe it or not, forcing a little smile might actually be the more helpful response to just get it done. And get this, there's actually a downside to chasing happiness all the time. Studies have shown that people who are totally fixated on being happy, they often end up feeling worse. They start feeling guilty for being upset or frustrated about feeling negative, and then they're just disappointed in themselves for not being happier. It's a whole vicious cycle. So if nonstop happiness isn't the goal, then what is? Well, it's about finding your balance. It's about shifting your focus away from just being happy and towards something much more powerful and resilient: hope. And that's really the big takeaway here. The goal isn't to force a smile and pretend you're not sad or angry or frustrated. It's to accept those feelings, to say, okay, this is how I feel right now. And then use these strategies to build a genuine sense of hope, to know that even if things are hard at this moment, they can and they will get better. And that's the key, isn't it? Because there's no magic formula, no one-size-fits-all answer. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Using everything we've talked about, what does emotional balance look like for you?